So, I've talked a lot about wrestling lately. And there's a reason why, because it feels like there's this massive movement to find an alternative. Okay. And for people who already watch New Japan or ROH or AEW as it's coming about, doesn't really matter. You're already watching the alternative, MLW. You can name a lot of companies. But I want to take a look at what Raw and SmackDown did this week, a week where I didn't watch it. I watched none. I also canceled the network. So I don't care about NXT. And here's the thing. So I want to say this up front. People say, well, the NXT pay-per-views are great. I agree, but here's the problem. Picture any sport, doesn't matter. You got a guy in the minor leagues, he's great. Gets called up to the big leagues, sucks. Big leagues, sucks. And you watch that happen repeatedly, where guys get called up, and every time they get called up, it bombs out. Eventually, when somebody says, "Hey, you should check out this guy in what he's doing," I want to say Dunedin, but I'm trying to find the baseball locations, like what he's doing in Rochester, wherever, right? And your response is going to be, "Yeah, we'll see what happens when he goes to the bigs." And Raw and SmackDown are still where wrestlers get paid the big money. NXT is definitely the place where wrestlers seem to have more creativity and more freedom, but WWE, you want to make your money, you go on Raw and SmackDown. And I watch I watched NXT for years, really enjoyed it, but again, I got tired of every time somebody got called up. I'm like, wait, and it was a combination of things. It's not just the feeling that the characters aren't being held to the same regard, or I buy the whole they have to start from the bottom and work their way up. I buy that. That's fine. But they also seem to then all of a sudden they're putting on the exact same match all the time. So let's get into it. And I'm not going to get into it too much because I feel like with What Culture Wrestling, Simon gets into this. Simon's been getting really mad. Simon Miller, who's amazing, absolutely great guy. Talk about YouTubers I'd love to meet. Simon Miller's on the list. Um, he put it really into picture into he clarified for me. Trying to figure out an exact way to put this. Um, when he talked about how every match seems to end in a roll up, and this week was no different. And every match had to have some kind of a crazy finish. Can't just have a wrestling match and then have the wrestlers leave the ring anymore. There has to be some crazy finish. And it really does start looking like WCW. WCW towards the end, every match just felt like the same thing, and then NWO beat people up, and then the next match NWO beat people up. And the only reason that the cruiserweights didn't have to worry about that is because nobody cared about the cruiserweights. The fans did, but certainly the higher up didn't. The higher up felt that they had that glass ceiling. Okay, you guys just wrestle with each other. You're not moving up the card. And 205 Live shows that that is alive and well now. So what we had tonight was Drew and the Revival. So Drew McIntyre, they defeated Roman Reigns and the Usos. This, of course, this is a match that only exists to further the feud between Shane McMahon and Roman Reigns. Why the hell does this feud exist in the first place? Next up, Charlotte defeats Lacey by disqualification when Becky interferes. And um, as Simon rightfully asked when he was doing his ups and downs of the show, why the hell would Becky attack either of them? Just let them beat the hell out of each other. Yep. So it didn't really make any narrative sense, and it keeps this three-way feud going that I don't care. And it's horrible. It's horrible that I love the whole Becky Lynch thing when she got her nose broken and all this other stuff and all the stuff with Ronda, and now I just don't care. Nikki defeated Peyton after there was some kind of coffee spot with Alexa where Alexa spills her coffee and she goes nuts on the Iconics after. Uh, I don't know what they're doing with Nikki Cross. Nikki's selling it so well and she's fantastic, but I don't know where they're going with this because Then SmackDown kind of shows that they're not committing to Nikki and Alexa being a team. So I don't know what they're doing here. Because it felt like Nikki was going to be in a team with Becky, and then she's with Alexa, and then SmackDown shows they don't really seem to have a long-term plan. And then Ricochet defeated Cesaro. And those are your wrestling matches on Raw. The show's 3 hours long. This is what you get in 3 hours of Raw. What did we get last night with SmackDown? The New Day defeated Owens and Zayn. So Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. And then after Dolph Ziggler got involved, Ziggler's been shoehorned in because they need a contender for the Saudi show. Elias and R-Truth then exchanged the 24/7 title. 24/7 title is the best thing going in wrestling right now because R-Truth is fantastic. Ron Killings is absolutely, I think, the most underrated wrestler they've ever had. And at certain points in his runs, he should have been champ. I'm not talking Intercontinental. I'm not talking US. I'm talking the top dog in the company. He should have been the guy. He was getting the best crowd reactions. Some of his matches are fantastic. And he's capable of going out there and performing for 20-25 minutes and really getting the crowd invested in his character. So yeah, we'll just give him a joke belt that he's already had 4 times. It'll get awkward if he has it like 17 times and they realize, oh crap, we broke Ric Flair's record. So you know that would be kind of funny. Alexa becomes the number 1 contender for the SmackDown title by defeating Charlotte and Carmella. Some interference that cost Carmella. So this is where I get confused. So Nikki defeats Peyton. Alexa looks like she's the good guy. The crowd's cheering her. Now Alexa's going to be fighting Bayley. Is Bayley going to be the bad guy in that feud then? Because I'm okay with it if they do that because they've already ruined Bayley. So I'm not sure I understand. Unless Nikki, who just went to Raw, is going to end up on SmackDown, that means Nikki's on... It doesn't matter. They have this stupid wild card rule where you can show up and either show, ooh, look, it's the wild card. Who's going to show up? The same people. It's always the same people. Roman Reigns was drafted to Raw, or drafted to SmackDown over a month ago. He's been on Raw every week. It's ridiculous. Notice he wrestled on Raw, didn't wrestle on SmackDown. Surprise. Andrade versus Apollo didn't happen because Andrade attacked Apollo before the bell, and then Finn Balor ran and make the save to build for their match at the Saudi show that they're not saying is in Saudi Arabia because they don't say Saudi Arabia on the air. And there's good reason for that, but they make a lot of money in Saudi Arabia. Now, this is what drives me nuts. You have 5 hours of a wrestling program where you have 8 matches and none of them really seem to mean anything. The only one that you can argue means anything, you could say Alexa winning to become number 1 contender means something. But we saw with Money in the Bank, that doesn't necessarily mean anything either. And I'll get to that. Ricochet defeating Cesaro felt important because this was their 3rd match, and then Cesaro snaps and attacks Ricochet. Because again, you can't just have a match for not this week. You had to make it where it's some kind of a schmoz at the end. If they're going to put those guys in a feud with each other and then eventually a tag team, I'm okay with that. These 2 guys are fantastic, and I've said for years that Antonio Cesaro, no, just Cesaro, you can't have 2 names. He's fantastic. And I've always thought he connects much better with the crowd than he gets credit for. So, in the midst of all of this, I've got a box here. Goldberg. How old's Goldberg? How old's Undertaker? Shane, I've talked about him being 49 recently. How old's Triple H? Orton. Orton's getting up there. He is. And then you've got Vince, who seems to be mentioned or on TV way too often. This has to stop. Because what's happening is that you've got part-timers coming in, and I get it, it's for the Saudi show. People are going to say that, and I get that. But all of this is taking time away from the rest of your roster. So for somebody who said, you shouldn't be down on the WWE product because, wrestlers that work there, nice guys. Right. So not wrestling this week. Miz, Becky, Samoa Joe, Hawkins and Ryder, who are the tag champs on Raw. Do you remember that? No? I don't know if they remember that right now. EC3, who's been absolutely buried for months. Bobby Roode, Daniel Bryan, Rusev. Anybody seen Rusev? A lot of rumors that Rusev is fed up and he wants out. Shinsuke Nakamura, who I think I would love to see go to New Japan right now because, or AEW, because he's just being wasted. I have watched Shinsuke Nakamura live. The guy is absolutely fantastic. He engages with the crowd, and whether he's a good guy or he's a bad guy, he's able to get the crowd to eat out of the palm of his hand. Bailey also, no wrestling for her this week, and champs generally, So you have all these run-ins and all these talking segments and half an hour of I think my genitals are larger than your genitals suck. Well, yours. That's basically the whole Triple H thing. The Orton. I don't regret missing that at all. Where's Liv Morgan? So they split up the Riot Squad. Where are they? So you're gonna take the Riot Squad, the only female group you've got that was recognized as a group, and you break it up so none of them can be on TV. Eric Young. Anybody seen Eric Young? Eric Young's a pretty good wrestler. Nowhere to be found. Is Buddy Murphy alive? Buddy Murphy got drafted to SmackDown. Buddy Murphy is, I'm going to say this straight out, I think he's the best wrestler in the entire company. I don't think anybody has the combination of pure athleticism, skill, and drive that Buddy Murphy has. He can make you give a damn about a cruiserweight match that you shouldn't. Because the cruiserweights / 205 Live, they don't get airtime on the regular shows. They just have their own show, which is on the network, and hardly anybody watches. To the point where Mike and Maria Kanellis are basically complaining about that on Twitter. They're complaining about the fact that they get to put on 205 Live after SmackDown, and that the crowd's already dead. Half the crowd is left, and they have to try to entertain people and still make it seem interesting for television. And they say, you know what? And for people who stick around, we really do it. It really works. I don't know. I don't know how any of this can be defended. I know people will try. I know there'll be people in here saying, "Oh, you're just crapping on it." Yeah, I didn't cancel the network for no reason. I didn't not watch the show for no reason. That's how you vote. You don't vote by watching it every week and going, "This is terrible. This sucks." You just stop watching it, and you just watch the replay and review on YouTube via different channels. And it's not just me. There's a lot of people doing this now that are saying we've had enough. These are wrestling programs, and they don't feature wrestling anymore. It's all yapping and talking and, oh, look what happened 5 minutes ago. Hey, remember when this guy got punched in the head? Yeah, I remember. I just saw it. So I'm have no intention of watching it after the Saudi show. I think the Brock Lesnar cash in and the Lars Sullivan deal right now. Brock Lesnar, they said he'd cash in. If I thought he was actually going to cash in, I might have tuned in for the end of Raw. I might have gone back and watched without spoiling it by looking online. I knew he wasn't cashing in. There was no way. So of course he didn't. Which doesn't, and again, Simon Miller pointed out, it doesn't make any sense. Not at all. It makes absolutely no sense. You can cash in whenever you want. The champ's down. Pin him. Take that belt. There's no reason for him to go Friday. He was saying Friday because Friday's the day they're having the pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia, and that's the first pay-per-view they will not have a chance of seeing me watch. I don't know how else to put it, but the Brock Lesnar thing for me is a disaster. Now Lars Sullivan, I don't know how you've already ruined a guy who hasn't wrestled yet. It sure seems like they have. So the crowd's already turned against Lars Sullivan, and here's the reason. So you get this big guy Lars, and he's kind of a freak of nature, and then it comes out that, and it's been known for a while that he made some racist / insensitive tweets years and years back, and so he comes out and he apologizes, sorta, and WWE finds him, and everybody knows, fans know what he said, so they don't like him. based on that. Or some may like him more. I don't judge. But you put him into a feud with Lucha House Party, who nobody cares about. I really, every time Lucha House Party comes out, I flip the channel immediately. I'm like, well, I don't need to watch this segment. I don't care. Uh, they're awful, and it's weird because I liked Sin Cara and Callisto. For some reason, this Lucha House Party to me just it reminds me of when they had Juventud Guerrera and the boys coming down on ride-on mowers. That's what it reminds me of. Where I'm like, yeah, that doesn't, no, I don't like it, no. So I vote it down based on that. But Lars Sullivan in there cutting a promo, and what are the crowd chanting? Boring. You can get booed. You can get nuclear heat. You can get X-Pac heat. You can get any kind of heat in the world. If the crowd is chanting boring at you when you're promoing about how you're going to kill everybody, that's a bad sign. It's a sign that the crowd has already decided they don't want you. And here's the thing. When Lars was in NXT, he was booked right. Like, he did lose. He didn't win every single match. He was a monster heel. But he still sold moves. He still, was still competitive matches. This idea of sending a big guy down to the ring to beat up all the little guys every week and not put him in a match and just have him beat up little guys. Okay, now you're going to beat up these little guys this week. It's just, it doesn't work anymore. And I would argue that I've never really seen it work. From what I remember, Brock Lesnar came out that way too, but he was having wrestling matches in and amongst all of that. And Lars's first match is at the Saudi show, and it's a carnival match where he's against the 3 members of the Lucha House Party, and I think it would be great if they won. It's the only way that I could see this being saved would be if the Lucha House Party actually won. The problem is, if the Lucha House Party won, that means that WWE is gonna bury him. So, we'll see. But this, it just doesn't work. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Because again, and I could do this every week. I could every week just stand here with the board, go through what matches happened, and how they're giving too much airtime to Shane McMahon. Absolutely 110%. Get Shane out of the ring and get wrestlers out there. And stop with all of the scripted crap. Stop with all of these segments. Get Bray Wyatt in a ring. We've done enough of the Firefly Funhouse. It's fantastic. Now get him in the ring and have him tell a story. Take Bray Wyatt, put him in a ring, and have him win the title. Just hot shot him to the title in like a month, and then leave it on him. Something like that. Just build somebody up for a change. None of this built anybody up this week. Nothing that happened this week built anybody up. In fact, what they did was they made their champion, Seth Rollins, look like a complete joke. And when he's being loaded into the ambulance, rumor has it that Becky Lynch was trying not to laugh. There was some kind of an exchange of looks between her and her real-life boyfriend, Seth Rollins, and they tried not to laugh. Killing the angle. Ask Paul London what happens when you smile or laugh and you're not supposed to. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, let me know what you guys think. I really should be talking about hockey and doing hockey videos. I don't barely make any money on these videos at all. I think I made like $3 the last time I talked about WWE. So I do this out of love and out of concern because I love this whole thing, this whole wrestling thing, and this makes me sad. This makes me a sad panda. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below as always, and I'll talk to you again soon.